just asking. I basically live on the couch. I get here around 9 o'clock at night, and that's when I pass out. That's when I wake up at 6 in the morning.
No one saw this coming. For years, Mike Beets worked tirelessly in the shadows of his legendary father, Tony Beets, the undisputed Klondike King. While Tony's empire soared to an astonishing $15 million, and his siblings Kevin and Monica took on prominent roles, Mike was different. Quiet, hardworking, and always behind the controls of heavy machinery, he built something of his own, something no one expected. But when the truth came to light, it rocked the Beets family to their core. What exactly did Mike leave behind, and why did it send shockwaves through the family? Mike Beets has spent his entire life surrounded by gold, literally and figuratively. Growing up in a dynasty built on relentless ambition, he was never the loudest or most outspoken, but he was the one who kept things moving. If there was a multi-million-dollar wash plant to relocate, a 40-ton crane to maneuver, or an operation that risked coming to a standstill, Mike was the one who stepped in. His expertise in handling the toughest jobs made him invaluable. But despite his skills and dedication, his net worth was shockingly small compared to his father's fortune. While Kevin boasted a $2 million valuation, Mike was struggling to prove himself, sitting at just $200,000. How could the son of a gold mining mogul be worth so little? The Beets family isn't like your average corporate mining operation. There are no suits, no boardrooms, just backbreaking work, unwavering grit, and a little bit of luck. Tony Beets arrived in Canada from the Netherlands with nothing but a dream, and through sheer determination, he built an empire. But he never allowed his children to take shortcuts. From the moment Mike could walk, he was expected to earn his place. Waking up before dawn, enduring bone-chilling conditions, and taking on grueling labor wasn't an option. It was a requirement. By his teenage years, Mike was already running heavy machinery, mastering equipment that most miners would take decades to handle. But here's where things take a turn. While Kevin and Monica began stepping into leadership roles, Mike remained on the ground, doing the backbreaking work. Unlike his siblings, he wasn't a decision-maker. He was still earning a miner's wage. His pay? Around $25,000 per episode of Gold Rush. At roughly 20 episodes per season, that meant he was pulling in about $500,000 annually from the show. A solid income, no doubt, but nowhere near what Tony raked in from the business itself. The harsh reality? While his father and siblings focused on managing the operation, Mike was still deep in the trenches. Yet there was something about Mike that set him apart. While most knew him as a heavy machinery operator, few expected his second passion, one that had nothing to do with gold. When he wasn't battling the elements in the Yukon, he was suiting up in full medieval armor and stepping into a different kind of battlefield. Yes, you read that right. Mike Beets is a full-contact medieval combat fighter, a recreationist who takes part in brutal, no-holds-barred sword fights. Imagine the same intensity he brought to the mine, now channeled into swinging steel weapons in high-stakes tournaments. Mining by day, night by night, his life was a contrast unlike any other. But even in the mining world, tensions ran high. Working under Tony wasn't easy. Mike and his father had their fair share of heated clashes, and one particular confrontation nearly changed everything. The pressure of keeping the operation running was relentless, and disagreements often boiled over. Unlike Kevin and Monica, who had a clearer path to leadership, Mike's future in the family business remained uncertain. Was he destined to always remain in the background, or was he on the verge of something bigger? And then, the unthinkable happened. A decision Mike made in secret, something he had been working toward for years, came to light. It wasn't just about gold. It wasn't just about money. It was about something far more personal. A revelation so shocking, so unexpected, that it left the Beets family reeling. But what exactly did he do? And how did it change everything they thought they knew about him? When disaster strikes in the world of gold mining, there's no room for hesitation. When a crucial piece of equipment shut down unexpectedly, Tony, the unyielding leader of the Beets empire, expected immediate action. Mike hesitated for just a moment, pointing out that he was told it wouldn't move. That hesitation didn't sit well with Tony. In his world, mining isn't about explanations, it's about results. And that one moment summed up Mike's entire career. He's skilled, hardworking, and an expert at operating heavy machinery. But unlike Kevin, who has stepped into a leadership role, Mike is still trying to prove himself. Despite his years in the industry, his net worth remains at just $200,000, a fraction of his father's fortune, leaving many to wonder, will he ever step out of Tony's shadow? Gold mining is a brutal business. One season can make or break a crew. Tony has spent years making the right moves, stacking up millions, while Mike remains on the front lines, battling the elements and heavy machinery every day. But make no mistake, he's not just another worker. He's the one taking the biggest risks, the one stepping in when things go wrong, and the one making sure the mine doesn't grind to a halt. And when disaster nearly struck, it was Mike who had everything to lose. The stakes couldn't have been higher when Mike was in charge of hauling a $300,000 wash plant, a machine critical to their gold operation. What should have been a straightforward transport job turned into a nightmare. The plan was simple: load the 25-ton wash plant, transport it 20 miles, and have it up and running within a few hours. But in gold mining, nothing is ever that simple. As Mike led the convoy through the rugged Yukon terrain, the unexpected happened. One of the heavy-duty securing chains snapped. The shift in weight was instant, violent, and unforgiving. Before anyone could react, the wash plant tilted dangerously, then crashed off the trailer, slamming into the rocky ground. Dust erupted into the air, and the screech of metal against stone echoed across the valley. Mike must have felt his heart stop. A $300,000 piece of equipment now lay in ruins. In gold mining, time is money, and every second lost meant losing potential riches. Without a functioning wash plant, the entire operation was at risk. Tony wasn't going to sit back and wait. He immediately called in a recovery crew. 2 massive front-end loaders rolled onto the site, each powerful enough to lift thousands of pounds. The plan was risky. Hook the plant up to industrial-strength chains, lift it slowly, and set it back on its base without causing further damage. Any wrong move could mean disaster. Twist the structure too much, and it could become permanently inoperable. Mike knew this was his moment. He climbed into the driver's seat of one of the loaders, taking control of the high-stakes recovery effort. If they failed, the consequences would be enormous. Weeks of delays, hundreds of thousands of dollars lost, and a brutal hit to his reputation. The first attempt strained the chains to their limits. The plant resisted, its weight deeply embedded in the dirt. The loaders groaned under the pressure as the team adjusted their angles, recalibrating their approach. The tension in the air was suffocating. One wrong move, and the plant could topple the wrong way, bending critical components beyond repair. With a final pull, the massive structure lurched upward. The loaders moved in perfect unison, balancing the weight and guiding the wash plant back onto its base. The final thud as it landed was deafening. They had done it. The plant was upright, salvageable, and the season was saved. But the question still lingers. How much longer will Mike stay in the trenches while his father and siblings reap the rewards? Is he destined to remain a worker, or will he finally break free from his father's legacy and claim a fortune of his own? One thing's for sure: his next move could change everything. The moment the massive structure landed back on solid ground, a wave of relief rushed through the crew. But relief quickly turned to uncertainty. The real question lingered in the air: was the equipment still operational, or had this near-catastrophic accident just cost them their entire season? Initial inspections showed deep scratches, twisted support beams, and dents marking the impact, but miraculously, the core components remained intact. The wash plant had survived, but the damage was undeniable. Time was not on their side, and hesitation could mean the difference between success and disaster. With no room for further mistakes, every chain was reinforced, every bolt checked twice, and the transport resumed, this time at an agonizingly slow pace. Each turn of the wheels carried a heavy weight, both literally and figuratively, as the team braced for any sign of failure. What should have been a 4-hour journey turned into an exhausting 8-hour battle against time, terrain, and sheer uncertainty. But against all odds, the Kiwi wash plant finally reached Dominion Creek. There was no celebration, just a quiet determination to get back to work. The plant was carefully positioned, and within hours, it roared to life once more. A moment that could have spelled financial ruin had turned into a lesson in resilience. For Mike, this was a harsh wake-up call. Nothing in mining is ever routine. A single oversight, one weak link in a chain, and everything could come crashing down. But this wasn't the first time he had faced a life-threatening challenge on the job. Transporting multi-million-dollar equipment was one thing. Navigating through some of the most treacherous roads in the Yukon was another. And the next challenge nearly pushed him to his limits. The road to Indian River was infamous. A steep, winding death trap riddled with loose gravel, sudden drop-offs, and unpredictable weather. Mike had maneuvered these paths before, but this time, fate had other plans. Midway through the climb, his semi-truck hit a slick patch of wet gravel, and instantly, the back wheels lost traction. The vehicle jerked sideways, the trailer groaning under the shifting weight. The nightmare scenario unfolded in seconds. The entire truck began sliding toward the edge, and for a split moment, it seemed inevitable that it would plunge into the canyon below. The world tilted. Adrenaline surged, and all Mike could do was fight to maintain control. It was a test of skill, reflexes, and sheer nerve. He radioed for backup, his hands gripping the wheel with bone-white knuckles as gravity threatened to seal his fate. Then, just as the truck teetered dangerously close to the edge, his lifeline arrived. Beets, always ready for the unexpected, roared onto the scene with another truck. Without hesitation, he secured a heavy-duty chain and anchored Mike's semi in place. With a coordinated effort, they managed to regain stability, inch by inch, pulling the vehicle away from disaster. The climb continued, and when they finally crested the summit, exhaustion hit like a sledgehammer. The mine is brutal, relentless, and unforgiving, but Mike refuses to let it break him. The season has tested him in ways few can imagine. From rescuing a wash plant worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to barely escaping a catastrophic truck slide, he has faced it all. Yet through it, he remains a man of mystery, one of the few figures in the Beets family who keeps his private life completely off the radar. While his father, Tony, is known for his commanding presence and his siblings have been more open with the public, Mike operates differently. There's no trail of social media posts, no public relationships, no distractions. just the quiet, unwavering focus of a man determined to carve out his own path. Despite growing up in the shadow of a mining empire, he's never taken shortcuts or expected handouts. Every success he's achieved has come from relentless work, pushing through impossible odds. Unlike his brother Kevin, who has branched out to start his own operation, Mike has remained deeply embedded in the family business. While some see him as just another operator, those who truly understand the Beets operation know the truth. Mike is